What about the Jets, crosstown rivals?
Look, I mean, when you had to get the quarterback and had to make that splash, you fought off Las Vegas and whoever else was potentially in that market. You go out and get Aaron Rodgers. We did say that the Packers won that trade. I think we agree on that. Not only the picks, but also the Jets inheriting the entirety of the about $110 million he's owed over the next 2 years, which is obviously a little bit scary for a 40-year-old quarterback. But you know what? You had a phenomenal roster at every other spot. I think with below replacement level play quarterback last year, you were still a fringe playoff team in a gauntlet AFC.
Yeah.
And then I know you love him. I loved him too. I think Will McDonald's a stud. I think he's going to make an impact early on in his NFL career. Interesting because he's different. He's a smaller guy, but he's springy. He's just, his spin move is vicious and quick. And playing alongside Quinn Williams and John Franklin Myers and Carl Lawson and all these dudes. Their defensive line depth is honestly comical. I didn't mention Bryce Huff and like all these guys they have. Tippmann in the second, again, a guy that was viewed as a fringe first round guy. Has center guard flexibility. So I like their offseason. Yes, they signed a bunch of Aaron Rodgers' allegedly non-existent wish list players, maybe to more than they were probably worth, but. I do think if everything works out with Rodgers and the chemistry and all that. Like, on paper, this is a contending roster.
Absolutely. I mean, I love that they went out and got Aaron Rodgers. And if they didn't blink first in the trade negotiations, they'd stuck to their guns and they'd played chicken and they'd won the thing. Like, I think they could have gotten that deal done for cheaper, and it would have been my favorite move they made. Because I think you have to go do that, right? You're the Jets. You have this really good team. The quarterback thing was a disaster with Zach Wilson. You got to go do something big, and Rodgers was the big thing to go out and do. And once he sort of said, I want to go play for the Jets, well, now you have the leverage to kind of sit there and just eventually wait, and Green Bay's got to give them up for whatever you want to give them. They didn't. They kind of blinked early, and they had to give up more than I think they should have. But generally, I love the move to go get him. We posted this before, and everyone was giving me all kinds of crap that my favorite pick was Will McDonald. Favorite as distinct from best. Because, look, you got to acknowledge that the consensus draft board had him as like a fringe first rounder, and instead he goes in the middle of the first round. Now, I think, I like him more than the consensus, which is just a point to note. Not that my opinion is worth more than the consensus. Just obviously I will therefore have a more favorable disposition on the pick than that. But also, again, in this draft specifically, the middle of the first round was when you were going to start reading things differently, because I think the difference between player number 16 and player number 30 and 45 on different boards is going to be all over the place in this specific draft. So in a normal year, you look at that data and you say, wow, reaching 15 spots for a player at the middle of the first round is a bad thing, right? Generally, those don't work out. I suspect this draft will look different. Like, if we analyze this in 5 years' time, compared with the sort of general rules, I think it's going to look differently. So I don't hate that they reach for him at that spot. And as I say, I'm with you. I love the player. And I think in this defense, like, he can do special things.
I think, I love making a strength a bigger strength. I love when teams just ignore, quote unquote needs and all that. Like, their defensive line is silly. And then I'll say this. Urban Meyer did, I think, exactly one positive thing his entire NFL tenure. The rest was staunchly negative. But him admitting, I think it's never happened before, probably will never happen again, him admitting the Jaguars wanted Kadarius Toney and didn't get him, and therefore just settled. Look at the Jets were going to take Broderick Jones, okay? Like, that was going to happen. That was their guy. When that didn't happen, they pivoted to Will McDonald. I know they've already said in a press conference, no, we were taking him no matter what. No, you weren't. That's okay. And I get why you're not going to say that on a podium, but I have no issue with the pick itself. I think he's going to be a good player.
So B overall for the New York Jets, B for free agency, B- for their draft.